Hey, everyone. Thanks for joining us. You know, normally when we start out these shows, we like to point out some ridiculous story in the Bible or highlight the hypocrisy of various believers. But today, I want to talk about something that doesn't get enough attention, in my opinion, and that's community. I'm really incredibly lucky to have a wonderful group of people that I'm able to get together with in person in my area. And over the last few days, I've gotten to hug and share time with these amazing folks, catch up with old friends and meet a bunch of new ones. There is something so powerful about being around each other and laughing and learning, sharing the good times and the bad. So I just want to take a second and absolutely encourage everyone to find a community, even if it's small, a community that you can gather and be present with. And for everyone that's unable to have that in person, this is your place. Sure, we come together on Fridays and Sundays and have these shows and have fun, but that isn't everything that happens here. Every day of the week, there is something going on, whether it's Meet the ACA or news, debates, random hangouts, whatever. So please join in, be a part of this community and know that you are not alone. So sure, we push back against the false belief of religious people and we rally behind the separation of religion and government. But for one moment, I don't want to worry about any of that and just say thank you to everyone who has helped make this community. And thank you so much to everyone that works behind the scenes every week to help keep these spaces going for us and giving us all a home. Now with that, the Bible and the Quran are two of the most false books ever written in history, and there is no sound and valid argument for the existence of a God. If you disagree, give us a call because the show's starting right now. Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of the Atheist Experience. Today is September 29th, 2024. I am your host, Secular Rarity, and joining me today is my buddy, Jmike. What is up?
Not much. Yeah, we had some really good bro time pretty recently.
Yeah, I know exactly. Yeah. That's exactly what I was thinking about. Hang out, spend a bunch of time with you, our backup host, Scott Dickie, today. I mean, we were all just really getting an opportunity to share and spend time with each other. And it is just so freaking awesome to do that, man. And it just sucks that we don't have as much opportunity in spaces like that, you know, in our everyday lives to just get together where, man, if you're a Mormon, anywhere you go in the United States, you can find a center, you know, you can find your people. So we just need to build that up on our side, man.
Yeah, no, I agree. Yeah, I mean, we got to dispel the rumors too, as well, that we're not the same person.
That is true. That is true. You now have seen Jmike and I in the same place. I am not constantly shaving, or Jmike is not constantly shaving, and I'm not constantly growing a beard. We are, in fact.
I just think of the greatest conceivable beard, and you know, it works for theists. And after I shave, I'm just like, I gotta get it back before the next show. Right. Greatest possible beard.
That's right. But unfortunately, Jmike and I do know that the greatest possible hair is owned by Christy Powell. So we have to
100% agree.
We take that. You know, hey, silver and bronze ain't bad. But anyway,
it was cool. We had the Trinity going on the boat between us there. I thought it was
so
cool.
Great. It was a really awesome time. It's seriously, anybody that's in like the Austin area, guys, you can just stop by. Like, just go see people, especially make sure you're there on Fridays and Sundays and hanging out with people. It is a super great time. And truly, guys, if you have the ability, like, I bet you there's something going on, even if it's just a bunch of atheists or humanists just gathering together in the back of a coffee shop, man. Go hang out, go be with some people. And make sure you stick around after this because, you know, I'm going to be hanging out in the Discord. But we've actually got some things to do here. We've got some freaking awesome calls that are lining up, but we got a lot more space, guys. So feel free to call whatever your questions, whatever your thoughts, bring them to us. Jmike and I are ready. We are excited. We are rested, not fully fed, but that's a different story. Let me do the things I have to do, which is tell you that the Atheist Experience is a product of the atheist community of Austin, a 501c3 nonprofit organization dedicated to the promotion of atheism, critical thinking, secular humanism, and the separation of religion and government, y'all. I love it. And before we grab some of these very, very cool calls, we got to give you the results of last week's Share Your Experience question. So last week, we asked all you wonderful folks out there to complete the sentence, the only thing worse than being sent to hell is what? So here are our top 3 answers. Number 3 from T800 Phantasm. I think I'm saying that right. I'm probably saying something wrong. The only thing that would be worse than being sent to hell, being sent to the Ark Encounter. Yes. Yes, indeed. You can go learn all about how we faked the fossils and they aren't real.
You know what, though? It's weird. I have this weird thing. I'm going to say it. Okay, I'm going to say it on the air. I have this like weird for... I think it's not the Ark Encounter. Don't get me wrong. Don't get me wrong here. But there's the Bill Nye video where he's like walking with Ken Ham. I revisit that video like 15 times a year. And there's something aesthetic. It's not like the Ark Encounter. It's just like having someone know what they're talking about inside the Ark, and they're just like an hour long. It's beautiful. It's just like, oh, the one time that these hallways like had some information that were valuable coming down, for once. It's just so great. So
it's literally in that context, the Ark Encounter is the greatest thing in the world because it offers you so many terrible, arguments and bad evidence and stuff. So it's as long as you have somebody knowledgeable walking through it, then becomes the greatest thing in the world, the greatest teaching tool you could ever have.
By the way, it's super impressive that like he's just thrown on the spot. Like, what is this? How did this happen? How did that? And he's just like, yeah, this is what we think in here. And then it's just great way to handle it. So I always urge people if you don't like the Ark Encounter, you will like this video that deals with the Ark Encounter.
You will like this video. Yes, for sure. For sure. Number 2 from Winston Jen. Hell is a round of golf that never ends. Yeah, I could see that. Nothing wrong with playing a little bit, but after a while, it's like, all right, okay, I'm fucking done. Let's go. It's like, can I cuss yet? Oh God, I'm gonna yell.
Yeah, it's funny. I thought the same thing before I said, so that's why I paused for a second. I was like, wait, I don't know if I've reached the point. So.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry, Craig. Number 1 from Rational Pair. The only thing worse than hell is listening to a Christian say the slavery in the Bible was just indentured servitude for the millionth time. Yeah, totally. Freaking totally. But folks, we're not done. We got a prompt for you. We got a prompt for this week. And the way that you get your comment read, by the way, is you write something really good in the comment section, not in the live chat. If you write it in the live chat, you are wasting your time. And in fact, I will laugh at you like you right now typing. I see you. I'm already giggling. The prompt for this week in the comments. If you want to get banned from leading Bible study, Jmike, which Bible story should you pick?
I've got it prepared too, because the last answer on the other one was kind of similar to what I was going to say about like opening to Exodus 21. And we're going to also put in conjunction with that, understanding the difference between like chattel slavery and indentured servitude and how women can't go free and all like the men do. But I'll change it to this other one since that we will get more on the table. And plus I get to get 2 out just by slightly doing that move where I'm like, well, I had this other one, and then I throw it out really quick. I would say open up your books to the crucifixion in Mark and in John, and we're going to talk about the different days that Jesus died.
Oh, yeah.
That's what I would go with it.
Yeah. When you put them, when you read them separate from each other, it feels like they're just kind of like adding on or something, it just kind of feels like that they do make sense. They do match up. But in fact, when you put them right freaking next to each other, it's pretty clear that they don't. So, yeah, I agree. I like it. And folks, again, question. If you want to get banned from leading Bible study, which Bible story should you pick? Get your answers in the comments below, and we might pick yours if we like it enough. And if we don't pick yours, you should feel bad about it. You should ask yourself why you didn't do better, and just try harder next time. No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
I get this like reoccurring theme with these, like when I see these prompts and I have to think about them, where I'm like, oh, 2 Kings, 24, 25, or 1 Samuel 15:3. I'm like, no, I think I've done that like 5 times now, even though it's really good to point out over and over and over again.
Right. So, yeah. It's a good one. And it's hard not to when you have a good one, It's like the donkey emission story. It's like, man, when you want a spicy Bible story, baby, that is a good, and it's just.
I remember the first time someone read that to me, like on
it's so crazy.
I didn't know about it. It was like 4 or 5 years, like during right during like COVID. Someone was like reading that, and I was like, wait, what is happening right now?
Very real, definitely in the Bible. So all these people yelling about these pornographic materials and stuff. In the books, maybe.
I like how you only had to say 2 words, and I was like, I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah. Bunch of weird thoughts there. We've got a couple of super chats. I'm going to read those, and then we are going to grab some of these awesome calls. It looks like we have a bunch of believers, so I am super thrilled to be getting to all of you. We've got $2 from Afro Story, and I love that name. I always love that name. Jmike and Rarity out here being a fabulous hair duo. Well, thank you very much.
As soon as I brushed my hair back too.
Yeah, so. Right. It just we need like little desk fans, just like our hair could constantly be blowing or something.
Yeah. That was like that in the studio. They had the fan underneath.
And it worked.
I felt very Fabio.
Is that a fair look? Maybe we've been doing this wrong this whole time. We've been going at like believers with like arguments and like evidence. Maybe we should just go at it with our sexuality. Is this? Yeah. We'll talk about it in the after show, folks. Hang out with us. We've got another super chat, $10 from Nero, who's been a member for 6 months. Thank you so much. Saying the Ark Encounter was originally claimed it would be seaworthy, made by Stone Age tools. Then that failed. It still leaks, even made with power tools and cranes. LOL. Yes, indeed. That is, I think, probably some decent evidence to indicate the original boat.
Duru Pinar site. Didn't like Ron Wyatt find it or something?
Oh, sorry. Stop it. We're not doing that. We're going to take a call. We are going to grab a couple of these calls. And folks, we still got open lines, and we got call screeners that are wonderful, and they're waiting to get you in the queue. So give us a call. We want to talk to you. We are going to start with... Let's go to Jackie, him in Mississippi. Hey, Jackie, before we go into your topic or anything, I want to ask a quick question. I believe you called earlier today on Talk Heathen, and I believe you misgendered one of our hosts, Dr. Ben. Is that correct?
I refer to Dr. Penn with the pronouns I believe are ontologically appropriate for their gender.
Okay, so you did misgender him, is what you're saying, purposefully.
I referred to Dr. Ben with the ontological.
Hang on, stop.
Why are you saying ontological?
This is really easy. This is really easy. All you have to do is say yes or no. This doesn't take any extra work whatsoever.
You don't have to talk about ontology to answer this question. It sounds like you're just trying to like.
I brought you back.
I know some philosophy words.
Yep, you probably heard a couple of beeps because I muted you and unmuted you for a second. Yes or no? Did you call Ben?
Dr. Ben her.
Yes, you did. Thank you for saying that. I appreciate you being honest. Are you going to apologize and retract that? Yes or no? That's all I need to hear. Yes or no?
Depends. Is this a stipulation for whether I can continue to call?
That has nothing to do with anything. All I need to know is whether or not you're taking responsibility. You're going to be a man, and you're going to say whether or not you're going to apologize. You've already admitted you did do the thing, and now I'm just asking yes or no. That's all I need to hear.
Yeah, and I have my finger over the drop as soon as you said depends. So try to have like a fucking good answer.
Okay, yeah, sure. The answer is yes.
You will apologize? Awesome. Just real quick, just say your apology. That'd be great.
Okay, I apologize.
For
referring to Dr. Ben with pronouns which I believe are appropriate, but they do not believe in.
All right,
I don't hang on. Yeah, I don't. Yeah, I don't know. Look. Let me explain something to anybody that's not positive on this. This whole fucking wishy-washy garbage of I'm sorry if you're offended. I'm sorry if you think this thing or something. What that says is you're not fucking sorry. You're a fucking asshole who's excited by the fact that you did a thing and people don't like it. That's what it says. So, hey, Jackie, we don't need to talk to you. We good. We got other callers. Don't need your bullshit arguments anyway.
100%. Yeah.
Sweet. Awesome.
Couldn't have said that better.
Cool. Well, all right. Going to take a deep breath. Let's see here. Feeling good. And now let's have some good conversations with some honest people and talk about God and stuff. How, you like that, Mike? You want to do that?
I do, yeah. I do. I did not want to talk to that person at all. So let's go.
Yeah, got no time, got no fucking time for it. We are gonna go talk to somebody else. I think we're gonna have a great call with. We've got Olivia, her out in Texas, wants to talk about the inerrancy of the Old Testament. Hey, Olivia, you are talking with Secular Rarity and Jmike. What is up?
Hi, I think this is a great topic. So I don't know. It's kind of broad, huh? But yeah. I'm glad to be on your show.
Well, thank you so much. We're glad to have you, and we are gonna try and be nice and kind and pleasant and so forth. We just had to take care of an asshole just a minute ago, so I'm sorry you had to go through that. But Olivia, I have a question.
I heard him and that was rude. You had the appropriate response.
I mean, right? He was rude, right? Okay. Anyway, Olivia,
he was rude.
When you say the inerrancy of the Old Testament, does that mean to you that everything that is written in the Old Testament is factual, is correct?
Well, here's how I have to look at it before I answer that question. Meaning that if I accept more than say 5% of it as true, then I kind of have to accept all of it as true. Right. So there's a threshold where I go, oh, crap, I actually think this is true. So then I must accept. It's kind of like a binary, like digital cable where it's either on or off.
Why, if you accept 5% of it, why does the rest of it have to be? Is that true for all of there's 5% of the Bible, I think, where it says something about like God being like a mother hen. And it's in Psalms. It's a poem. It's probably not literal. It's probably being metaphorical here. But if we accept that 5% is true, why would the rest of it have to come along?
Are you just weighing the 5%?
I don't mean it like that necessarily. I mean that however we're supposed to interpret this document, meaning certain parts are literal and certain parts are metaphorical, that's for people outside of myself to quite understand. But what I really mean is that it's a self-referential set of claims to speak for a deity. And once I start accepting any portion of that really, and I start going, oh, crap, there's some things I think are true, I must really go, oh, then God spoke it, it's true. Or else I'll go to hell and be tortured.
Okay. I'm actually curious, SR, how you want to handle this. If we should talk about the percent of the content of that percentage is, or why, or on your point about why would you accept the additional 95 even if we granted the 5%?
Yeah. Go whichever way you want to go with it, man. Please. Yeah, I think both are good routes.
Yeah, I was that's why I wanted to ask, because I'm I can't really decipher. But yeah, so I'm curious about a couple of things, and then I guess me and SR can play back and forth on these two kind of points here, which is one is what is the, I guess help me out, what is the content of that 5%? I know you're kind of just putting a little small number on there.
Well, 5% is a made up number. I just
we know.
Yeah, I'm assuming that. Yeah.
But what is the actual content of that?
Evangelical Pentecostal. And the things that they told me that would come true when I was a kid are true now. And
which one thing?
You know what? We're at the end of the world. It feels like the end of the world.
Hold on, Olivia. I have to pause you real quick, because I have this thing where if I hear some information and you're going on something else, I have to know what it is. What was the content? I already understand that people have told you these things, they came true, but I don't know what came true. Right. So what was it that was revealed to you in the
here's-
Bible, that was told to you, and that it ended up coming true?
Mm-hmm.
I never read the Bible. This is what I heard in church.
But then how
From
do you?
people of authority?
Wait, hold on.
Yeah.
So you haven't
No
read the
one's
Bible, then how do you?
Bible.
Yeah, but then how do you? So you trust somebody of authority, which is just a fallacy of. This is just an authority fallacy, right? Like if you think that like
Yes,
this authority.
That's what we're all doing, though. Like,
No,
We're not.
we're not.
We're not.
We're
not.
not. Yeah,
not.
I don't just accept a claim that Jmike gives me, even if it's something as mundane as.
Let me give you a claim.
Yeah, give me a
read
claim.
the
Give me a claim.
Bible?
Hang on, Olivia. Hang on, Olivia.
I'm gonna show you how like this works, right? This is why me and SR, because like I haven't even talked to SR about this, but I predict that we're gonna be on the same page here. Hey, SR, I have this awesome thing called a biology book, and it says in chapter 13 on this page that evolution is true.
Oh.
Do you believe it just because that this says that, and I'm also some authority that thinks it's true?
No,
So
even
I'm
if
the
you
authority
had
presenting it to you.
even if you had 5 PhDs, Jmike, just the fact that you are telling me this statement, or the fact that you're pointing to this book alone that says the statement, is not sufficient evidence to accept that evolution is true. Thank goodness we have a bunch of other stuff too.
Yeah, we can go look. Like what we would do is like, we would go, oh, okay, SR, you don't believe me, so let me take you to like a population, or let's actually go study biology. Like we could actually show you like literal evolution occurring. And then he goes, oh, you know what? The claims that were said in chapter 13, those are true because I can independently verify those things, right?
Does that make sense, Olivia, as to why when you say like we're all just kind of doing that authority thing and just accepting it? Like Jmike and I are pushing back on that real hard. Does that distinction make sense to you?
it does, but I will notice that you used science books and not the Bible to push back. Because
but we
my
didn't use
claim
hold up, but we
was
didn't
really
use science
reading this
books. What we
fictional book.
used is evidence and data. What we used is information that was independently verified by multiple sources. Jmike brought up the science book. Yeah.
Maybe I shouldn't have brought up evolution because that will.
That's a tough one. But
you'll get fixated on that, and that's not the point. The point
Right,
is not
right.
evolution.
Right. The point. So if Jmike had said, "Hey, Elliot, I've got this book that shows airplanes can fly. Do you believe that airplanes can fly?" I would say no, because the book alone making that claim is not sufficient. What we need is other information. And it's not some scientist that comes along and goes, yes, I figured out Bernoulli's principle. No, it's not that. It's Bernoulli's principle. It's that the mathematics works out time and time and time again. We say, man, if I have this water bottle and I do these things to it and I throw it off a cliff, it's gonna fly. And then it flies. That's what we use. It's not the authority figure. Is that fair, Olivia?
That is fair. But here is my counterpoint.
Okay.
When I was a kid in evangelical church, there was a set of prophecies that were going to come true. And that is Russia's going to have a war, and Israel's going to have a war, and China's going to be our enemy. And that if I ever become a girl,
That's prophetic.
And everyone's going to hate me.
That's prophetic?
Every single one of those things came true.
That's not prophetic.
things
I
were
could have
Yeah,
told
that's
I could have told SR that like in the
The
90s.
future's going to happen, and
Yeah.
it did happen.
But all of those things have happened before now. All of those things have happened before 2024. Like, what was it? Was there a time frame on this, or was it just in perpetuity until the end of time? Like from this point on, way back in the 19 whenevers, like just eventually at some point, China's going to hate us, and Israel and Russia are going to engage in warfare.
Well, it
But like,
certainly seems like World War III. Like,
well, sure, but why?
all the
But
stuff about-
it's not any different now than it has been for the last 20 to 30 years in a bunch of different metrics. There's
I
nothing
don't
that is
know about that. It
specifically
feels like
fascinating
different
about
to me.
today's time period in terms of the stability or lack thereof in the world. Like it's not as if more volcanoes are going off in some absurd capacity or anything. We're noticing a generalized trend for hundreds of years that, yes, 200, 300, 500 years ago, sure, some of these natural disasters weren't happening as much. Absolutely. But like that is something that we've been cataloging for a really long time. It's a slow, gradual change. It's like
there's a literal nation state called Israel from the Bible doing things that they told me they were going to do.
But Israel has existed since the 40s. So why all of a sudden in 2024 does it dawn on you that that is a confirmation of a prophecy? That's all I'm trying to get at. It would be like, Olivia, it would be like, hang on, Olivia, it would be like me saying to you, hey, if God is real, you're going to get a blue car, and then you go out and you buy like a Kia Sorento that's blue, and then like 6 years later when the engine screws up on you, you go, oh my God, it's confirmation of my. It's just odd to me. It's just weird that you're picking now as the confirmation.
So my friends
also, none of what you're taking is coming from the Bible.
Yeah, none of what you're. Yeah. Say that again, Jmike. That was good.
Many atheists justify a theocracy before.
Hold on. This is really what's really important, Olivia, is that you're talking like about what some people said, and none of that content. There's no proposition in there that says anything remotely like what you think was to come true. So it's not clear to me, like, especially from the Bible, if we're talking that, and you haven't read it, you're gonna have to like take my word for it and other people's word for it that it doesn't do that. What you should do, right? This is the theme, Olivia. You're selling yourself short. You could be a rational believer potentially. You could call in and show us this. But if you haven't looked at the Bible, you haven't like read the content and like done some type of like, adjudication on like whether or not it's justified or not. If you haven't done that process at all, how do you expect me or secular or
wrong?
Well, hold on, we're not talking about genocide. We're talking about reasons to come to the.
I am talking about a genocide.
Stop talking about that and start talking about the reasons to believe the things that you say you believe, because apparently you believe something that is written in a book. You didn't read the book. Now that's okay, Olivia. We all do stuff like that. But what we're trying to say is, if you value truth, if you are intent on understanding and accepting claims that have a connection to the real world around us, just take a few seconds and listen to what we're saying, because we think, based on your criteria even, you're probably going to find some flaws in this connection here. So give Jmike a second, let him just say his piece, and then if you really disagree with it, we'll give you more time. So go ahead, go back to what you were just saying, Jmike. That was good.
Yeah. You're selling yourself short on this when you want to like not go and do an investigation yourself, right? Justify to yourself that you know this. You have some tool, like me and Scott in the back were talking about this, about people who like, it's hard. There's certain types of conversations where it's really hard to progress because fundamentally the tools that you're operating with are flawed, right? If you have that kind of view, why don't you listen to the drunk guy at the bar telling you conspiracy theories? What separates that? Presumably there's something in mind, right? You have something like, well, you trust these people, you've grown up in that, but are those good reasons, right? I've grown up in a family, but imagine my family just got everything wrong. If they're watching, I'm not saying you get everything wrong. I'm just saying, but imagine I grew up in that family. I trust them and they told me all this wrong stuff. Right? People grow up in families all the time with trusted people and they steer them in the wrong direction. And, this was something that Jason and I talked about in Texas, was just that these are the same people that are, telling you to look both ways before you walk across the street. They're giving you like really solid advice in some cases. And so you attach to that. But now you have to do the work yourself. Now you have to look inside Olivia and go, do I have good reason to believe this? And what harm would I have if I just fucking look for just a fucking second? Like what it just confirms it, or better yet, it doesn't confirm it. And now I get a more defensible position than I currently have now. And so all that long-winded, I'm going to try something different. I'm going to try this just to show you that someone like myself or SR who really likes to read like, these types of like the literature within this debate, right? Whether it's philosophy or whatever. I'm just going to try this on you. Okay. You've told me that you haven't read the Bible. You get this from authority. So you have some type of fallacious reasoning. You haven't justified the content. You don't even know if the content says that. All right. Prophecy rejected. That's it.
That is
There's
true.
no reason for me to believe it. There's no reason that you should believe it.
Well, hold on. That's only if you accept prophecy based on some book of authority, not just based on my word for it.
You can't even say, Olivia, you can't even say it comes from the book.
Right.
You don't even have the right to say that. You've told me.
Right. I don't know. What I'm saying is it came from a church.
Right, but why is that an acceptable reason for you to say this is true, this is correct, even if they were right? Let's say it was super duper specific, okay?
That is why I'm saying it's true, by the way. I was
because they were right.
Time, and now I'm saying this should.
Olivia, hang on. I just want to be clear. You're saying because it turned out to be right, that they gave you a specific prophecy. Let's just give you all the toys, very specific time frame, very specific way that it could be answered, not all this vagary and whatnot. That prophecy was answered, and so because of that, the Bible is true? Is that what you're saying?
Yes, that is exactly.
But that doesn't make any sense based on even your own understanding, Olivia. You literally just told Jmike, you agreed with Jmike that it doesn't come from the Bible. So if it doesn't come from the Bible, how are you making this connection?
This is a tacit connection based on my own fear and insanity from growing up in a cult. I don't believe this shit. I'm just saying they told me a bunch of stuff that came true, and now I'm afraid it's all true.
Okay, well, let me help. Let me help, Olivia. Let me assuage your fears. The conclusion that you have come to is based on very, very well-known poor reasoning. The likelihood of that argument being true is so paltry low that you don't need to be afraid of the dragons that might come and eat you one night, because dragons don't do that, and they don't really exist to begin with. You don't have to be afraid of this. You don't have to be worried about this. Please reach out to some wonderful, wonderful people at like Secular Therapy Project and Recovering from Religion. It is not just for folks that don't believe anymore, or people that have gone through, intense trauma or anything. Not saying that that's where you have come from or anything, but hang on just a second, Olivia. I'm almost wrapped up, I swear. But truly, I want you to hear this. The reasoning that you are using to come to that conclusion that these prophecies are true, and that fear that you have that the rest of this crazy stuff might be true, no, be confident in this. That reasoning is flawed, and you cannot trust that conclusion. And so the fear that you have about the rest of this stuff being true is not founded. Do not worry. You do not have to be afraid of that anymore. This is poor methodology, and you can get out of that fear. And again, I truly, truly say, give Recovering from Religion a call. They're a phenomenal resource. I'm sure you can find the links in our chat, because we have great moderators, and in the description and stuff too, because we have wonderful, wonderful crew. Jmike, is there anything else you wanted to say before we grab another call?
No, I mean, I just would just elucidate on the point that the reason why it's flawed is from what you've told us. I mean, I would go back and listen to the call. Yeah. It's not clear that like the content even comes from the Bible, but you believe these people, and these people could be pushing whatever narrative. By the way, the content that you think came true isn't like impressive, like at all. Like the fact that we have like, I mean, I don't know what the specific prophecy was, right? But like, presumably it's pretty vague. It's not like you have these like, it's going to happen at 2:34, this missile attack here. It's not going to be very specific. And I think if you, in the future, if you get some kind of prophecy thing presented to you, to like really press them, what's going to happen on this day? What might I be wearing? Right? Like if they just all of a sudden can't check off these kind of things in there, and they're just trying to rest within vagueness, then they've ensnared you, right? All con men need to do is ensnare you in that little bit of vagueness, right? That little bit of the rest of the world will tell you you're crazy, but just listen, trust the process, right? All of that is like in the con artist playbook. That's how people in the self-help section constantly get people's money and ruin really good authors who are actually trying to help people,
Right.
you know, because they want to ensnare them in some really weird spiritual guru nonsense.
Yeah, totally, man. Olivia, free yourself up from that anxiety and worry, and give yourself some peace, because you can rest easy. That conclusion is unfounded. So the rest of it is too. Thanks so much, Olivia. We're going to drop you. We're going to let you go. Thank you so much for that call. Seriously, I loved the crap out of it. I thought you were absolutely wonderful. And give us a call back in the future, by the way. Give us an update. Let us know what's going on with you. We want to hear from you. Thank you so much, Olivia. Yeah. See, that's one reason why I really, really love this stuff. Why I really, really love these conversations. Like, sure, okay, I'm not going to lie. I do get a little bit of jolly sometimes whenever I can really slap a motherfucker down with a bad argument. Sure. But that right there is what keeps me going every fucking day. Somebody telling me like, man, I don't know, I believe this thing and I'm worried about all this other stuff and it's hurting me and I'm struggling and I'm having a tough time. And it's like, hey, good news. That's a shit conclusion based on poor methodology, baby. Drop that belief and get to happier times, folks. I love it. I have some awesome little announcements. I am going to shout at you real quick because they are super important, because many of you know, but not all of you. We have initiated phase 2 of the Brick fundraiser, and we want to highlight some of the standout orders we've received. Guys, I got to see this in person. It is gorgeous. It is absolutely wonderful. You want to be a part of this. You want to get your bricks there, okay? So we've got a featured brick this week. This one is Preston from Texas. Our beliefs aren't written in stone. Preston. Damn right, Preston. But that sure as hell is. Well, Brick,
except for this one.
Yeah. Brick and Stoner. Yeah, there's something. Where's Kelly?
I was afraid to step on the bricks when I was at the studio. I wanted to jump over them. I felt like disrespectful. Like
I know it did. Even though we're all about the critical thinking and the rationalism and so forth, there was still kind of this irrational thing. Like I didn't want to. I stepped all over Jason's brick, though. You know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
But seriously, guys, thank you so much for everybody that has participated in this. It has been so wonderful. Preston, thank you so much personally. We appreciate you. And guys, get yours at tiny.cc/ACA bricks. Let's get a whole freaking bunch of them. And then you should come down and hang out at the Free Thought Library in Austin, Texas, and get a picture with your brick. You could do that. By the way, if you haven't done it yet, folks, there is something incredibly important. I need to let you all know. It's a lot. I know it's difficult. It's a struggle. Some of you may not survive, but what I need you to do is just like the damn video. I don't know why you haven't. What's wrong? I'm talking to you. You think I'm just saying this indiscriminately. You think I'm not talking. I'm talking to you. Like it. Just click the button. It takes 5 seconds, or dislike it. I don't care. Just click something. Like, stop just mooching. But also subscribe to the channel, enable notifications, and comment below on your favorite caller or how sad you felt when I yelled at you. We've got more calls. Let's go to them. We are going to grab Caleb. Theist, he, him pronouns in Ohio, wants to talk about some teleology, it sounds like, but also has a question for us. So, hey, Caleb, you're chatting with Jmike and SR. What is your question?
So, first off, before I get to the points that I wanted to make, and I do understand that I am far from the first person to present to you guys this argument. I know you've probably heard it many times, and I'm not saying that I am the only person who's going to represent the argument right, but I do think that it is possible to present an argument in the wrong way or else with lack of information or whatever. So I've been studying this stuff for a little bit now, and so I just thought I would call and present it. But before that, like I said, I want to ask the question, what would you say, how do you come to the conclusion that you think there is no God, like most likely there is no God?
Yeah. Jmike, do you want to go first?
Yeah, it might be I don't know, because I don't know if SR is like what the credence level. I think you might just want to focus on not affirming the proposition to be true, right? Which I think is, which is kind of the what I think is more fruitful to understand someone's view about why I should believe in God. So going from two different polar opposite points kind of definitely confuses things because it's hard to convince each other. But the reason why I think gods do not exist, from my view, it's kind of like a cumulative case, I guess. I know a lot of people don't really like that term, but I don't think that minds are fundamental. I think that there's really good evidence to suggest that minds require third generation stars and planetary disks, and right, this whole process of stellar nucleosynthesis where you get, elements as heavy up to iron or whatever, right? Supernovae for heavier elements. So for me, like, there are no minds of the following, which exist like, sans the existence of third generation stars. So I have like motivations there, or independent motivations to think that's true. But on the kind of bigger metaphysical picture, if someone's just like, well, you don't know, maybe there could be a fundamental mind. Well, now what I want to do is kind of compare those views on theoretical virtues. So I'm looking at things like unification, fitness of data, and I think a lot of the virtues end up just boiling down into two considerations: simplicity versus the explanatory breadth and depth you get out of it. So from my view, the reason why I would be like, I guess you want to call a naturalist or something. I usually use like an indifference kind of hypothesis, that the world is just indifferent and doesn't have intention. The way that I want to go about that is pointing out that the commitments that you have to take on theism are massive. And if you want to take those commitments, your view is not going to be simpler. And so the work you have to do is to show why, someone like myself has to adopt those commitments to explain the world around me. So once we agree upon something that we agree about, like say we think that the beginning of the universe, like there was a beginning of the universe, we agree on that. What best explains it? This theistic kind of hypothesis or this like indifference hypothesis that I have? From my view, when we do this for any point of agreement, this indifference principle is going to win out every time, because I'm making less commitments. I'm not inflating my ontological economy, and I'm getting this benefit of at least equally explaining the data, if not better explaining the data. And so from that view, when I figure out what view is most parsimonious, then it just falls out for free that, I'm an atheist, because atheism comes for free on this view. So.
And the reason, if you can't tell, Caleb, the reason why I let Jmike go first is because he does such a wonderful job of explaining that. And yeah, man, I'm just willing to just ride those coattails for a second and be like, yeah, that's pretty much. Yeah, I think that's where pretty much both of us are coming from in general, right? Yeah. So yeah, please go ahead, Caleb.
Anyway, so I didn't want that to be, I just wanted to ask the question. I just wanted to hear where you guys were coming from. And so now I kind of want to get on to like my points here, like the argument.
Yeah, sure. I will say, can I say one thing? Caleb, can I say one thing real quick? That the reason why I just want to point this out, just for the sake of someone calling in the future, that if you think this is like motivated towards some type of naturalism, I was a property dualist. I was like a non-naturalist. Yeah. So I came from one position to another position. So, and through that process. So I just want to point that out there. It's not just like, oh, okay, I agree with that. It's that like, oh, that fits an already held belief. It was that process led me to my belief. Right. So I just want to point that out.
All right. So I just want to first see if we can agree that evidence is just an available body of facts or information indicating whether a belief or proposition is true beyond a reasonable doubt. Can we agree with that?
I couldn't really hear you. It was choppy on me.
Say it again. I'm comfortable with that definition. It's not my preferred one always, but I don't see any problems off the rip. But say it again for us so that Jmike also gets it.
Okay, so I was just wondering if we could agree at least that evidence is just an available body of facts or information indicating whether a belief or proposition is true beyond a reasonable doubt.
Kind of not really. I mean, I'm looking at evidence as something that's expected upon a hypothesis.
Yeah. And I like the definition of, and I think we're all in a similar place. I like the definition of exclusively concordant with or positively indicative of one, conclusion. So, I mean, I think we're all in kind of the same vein enough to be able to move forward. Do you feel that that's fair, Caleb? Do you feel like we're all in the same kind of neighborhood there?
What do you mean again? Can you explain that again? I'm sorry.
Yeah. Do you want to give yours again, Jmike, and then I'll give mine, or I can give mine first?
But yeah, I was just giving kind of a loose understanding of that, like what I expect, what evidence is supposed to be doing is like it's expected upon a hypothesis. So
Right.
if I have some like novel prediction about like I don't know, I don't really know anything about like astrophysics or something, but like feel like some type of fusion of elements or something like that, I can make some prediction, go out in the world and confirm that, at least with a high degree, and that like find something that would be expected upon that. Or like, you know, like you might thing might be like cosmic microwave background radiation, you know, is what we would expect on this hypothesis of a Big Bang, or right. So something like that. But yeah, I mean, the whole like incontrovertible thing, I don't know. I don't really, because like evidence can be like something like there's a footprint, that's evidence for Bigfoot. Like it is evidence for Bigfoot. It's just like, is it good evidence? Is it, you know?
Yeah. And I well, we'll just stick with that one. We don't need to muddy it any further. I mean, do you feel like what Jmike just said is close enough, fair enough that we can move forward? We're all kind of on the same page, good enough. We know what we're talking about when we say evidence.
Yeah, I mean, I want to get to the point. I want this to be too long. Anyway, so do you guys agree that if a belief or idea has a low chance of being true, then we shouldn't accept it, right? I actually heard you say with the last call, you said that you shouldn't believe it when you're that last caller, Olivia. You were talking about how you think that for the prophecy thing or whatever has doesn't have a likelihood of being true. It's unlikely to be true.
Yeah, I think it kind of depends on what you mean by that, because when I say the likelihood that something is true, really what I'm doing there is just trying to give a little nod to that you can't have 100% certainty thing, right? But the evidence available leads me to this conclusion of whether or not something is likely to be true. So like the fact that something isn't likely to be true is not why we shouldn't believe it. It's the evidence that leads us to the conclusion, that leads us to the belief that something is unlikely to be true. That's what it is, right? Does that make sense? Like it's unlikely to be the case that particles just pop in and out of existence, considering the fact that everything's made up of particles and my water bottle's not popping in and out of existence, but it is. Like it is true.
Yeah, you have like this prior probability of thinking
right.
It's not likely, but that's what the evidence is supposed to do. It's supposed to overcome this kind of like really massive, like unlikely, you know, prior probability, so that you can achieve that in that kind of a posterior sense.
Yeah. What do you say to that?
I mean, I was just saying that, like, say if based on the evidence we come to the conclusion that a belief or idea has a very low chance of being true, it's very unlikely to be true based on the evidence, and we shouldn't accept it because it's unlikely to be true based on that evidence, you know?
Yeah, and
let's say something has a 1 in a million chance.
Well, yeah, but so again, that isn't right. I think where you were going is exactly why I tried to make this distinction, which is the fact that something has a 1 in a million chance is completely irrelevant. It has nothing to do with whether or not it's true. 1 in a million, 1 in 5, 1 in bazillion. It doesn't matter. That is unimportant too about whether or not we should accept this belief, this conclusion, right? That is interesting. It's interesting that it only has a 1 in a million chance of being like this, but it doesn't actually factor into whether or not
so
it is true.
I have a feeling that what you said there is going to be very important to what he's going to get to here.
I think so. I hope so. Is that fair, Caleb? Do you see where we're coming from?
I mean, no. I mean, not really. I
anticipated you to push back, but I think your argument's going to depend on it. Can I just predict what you're going to do?
Hang on. Go ahead, Jmike, and then Caleb, give us your thoughts on this.
Are you gonna like make this kind of like, and I could be wrong, but I'm just predicting like you don't want to accept this because you want to point out like some astronomical probability issue, and you want to get to teleology that like some protein or something needs to be designed, and that this like 1 in a million chance doesn't have good evidence because of like the odds. That's what I think you want to do. Am I right? Is that like a decent prediction?
Yeah. I mean, you're kind of close. Not really about the protein thing, but could I just kind of like move on? Then once you realize you're right, then you can start ranting.
Sure. Go ahead.
It's important flag to point because I see where you two are going to butt heads.
That's where I was, and I was thinking that was probably the route we were going.
This is my point, by the way, that I say that these kind of arguments usually don't work if you give out like this argument to SR. or you give this argument, you just identified the premise that you both are not going to accept, and you're not going to make progress on the argument. But we can go ahead.
Yeah.
Okay, so the teleological argument uses the apparent design that we observe in nature as evidence for God's existence. The first premise states, and it's not being applied to the universe yet, it's just talking about something very simple that we all observe, that every design has a designer. Like, I know this phone that I'm using to call in on had a designer. The electronics that you guys are using had a designer. The house had a designer. We don't have to go, just etc. And so that's true. We don't have to really talk about that. The second premise is the one I think will really
built
be
into the
focusing
concept
on,
of a design
and
that
when
it
applies
designed.
Right. It's kind of a tautology, but
It's not just like a tautology. Good.
Yeah.
Well, second premise is when it applies that to the universe, and it says that the universe has highly complex design. And so that's the one I want to be focusing on and trying to give evidence for. And so the conclusion, if both of those things are true, and the teleological argument doesn't say which God this is, because I am a Christian.
Sure.
I don't know, maybe sometime in the future I will call back and say why I think that this is the Christian God, but that is not why I called. Before we start talking about what designer is this, we first have to show beyond reasonable doubt that there even is a designer.
Yeah, me and SR aren't worried about that.
We're not gonna push back on that aspect of it, man, because honestly, Jmike called it. I mean, he's right. Ultimately, that second premise where you say like, well, all of this universe has, this highly complex design. I'm going to say most likely this is how it's going to go, Caleb. I'm going to go like, hey, man, I don't really think so. I don't think the universe is designed, man. And you're going to say like, oh, yeah, it is. And I'll go, oh, okay, what's the evidence? What's the indication? And you'll say like, man, it's super crazy high, improbability that, life would happen, or proteins or stars or the universe. And because of that crazy probability, it had to have been designed. And I'm just going to go back to what I said just a second ago, which is like, no, that's not why a crazy low probability is not the reason that we shouldn't accept something. It's the information that gets us to the conclusion that it is a low probability. And then what we should say is not that it's not true. It's just that it has a low probability, right? So that's ultimately where the crux of the issue is, I think.
Yeah, and like I said, this doesn't even necessarily say what God or designers would be. It just says that it was.
We don't worry about that.
That based on the evidence that I'm going to try to give. Yeah.
Yeah, we just want to hear the evidence. We're not worried about that. Yeah, you don't.
Yeah, right.
I'm just telling you, don't worry about that. Like, you don't have to worry or like, feel like we're going to press you on. Oh, you're really a Christian or something. Like, we don't care about that. What we care about is the good reasons to believe that there is this fundamental mind that creates the external world and all this stuff. Like, that's what we're interested in. So,
why? What is the reasoning that you have come to the conclusion for that second premise, that the universe does have this highly complicated design element to it? What is that?
Okay, so what I would say the evidence is for that would be, and this is among other things, but the anthropic principle, which is just pretty much the I would say mounting evidence that the universe shows highly complex design. So the anthropic principle is made up of well over 120 anthropic constants, which are highly precise, interdependent environmental conditions. Things like
you don't have to give us all the. Hang on just a second. You don't have to go through the individual bullet points of what the different things for the anthropic. We get it, man. We get what you're saying, which is there's all these things about the world around us that we all agree are true. Gravity is definitely a thing. 9.8 meters per second squared is the force that gravity exerts on an object free falling to Earth. We're with you, man. We're with you on that. We agree. Those things are true. Strong force, weak force, all that good shit. Most likely, if I'm wrong, please correct me, Caleb, but most likely what you're going to say is all of those things together are incredibly highly specific, and changing any one of them arbitrarily would fuck the whole system, thus giving indication that the system had to be designed. Is that basically where you're going?
Yes, and also I forgot, this is something major that I forgot to ask the call screener. And so,
Well,
Yeah.
hold on.
Yeah.
Let's not worry about that. Let's go.
Yeah, we
let's go over this because, like,
Right.
the probability thing is just going to shoot yourself in the foot, in my opinion. Because, like, do you agree that God could have like an infinite amount of desires that he could realize?
Sorry, I got distracted for a moment. What were you saying?
Do you think that God has an infinite amount of desires that he could actualize? Like, he could actualize the universe where just marbles pop out, or he could just actualize the world with just SR talking to a bunch of SRs all the time about SR stuff, right? He could create the world where universes just collapse within on themselves to create a universe where there's really no universe, right? So do you agree that God, as like an omnipotent being or a very powerful being, could actualize any one of these desires?
Okay, yeah. So first off, to answer that, I would first say that it is impossible.
It's just a yes or no.
But no, but you see, here's the thing, and this is one thing that you guys, I feel like,
just
really
say yes and then because
a lot, which is we don't have to have you say we don't have to have a yes or no answer. We can be fine with I don't know, and I don't know everything about the being.
I'm actually muted.
Okay, but hold up. You can say I don't know. Yeah, just answer, Caleb. Like, we're gonna give you time to explain stuff, you know. But sometimes people will go down routes that it just doesn't make sense for us to waste anybody's time. We don't want to waste your time. We don't want to waste our time. We don't want to waste the audience's time, man. And so, like, if you agree with something, just say you agree, and then we'll let you explain a little. And if you don't know, just say you don't know, and then we can go down that route. But just give us a straight answer. Yes, yes, no, I don't know. What?
Yeah, my bad. I should have said yes, no, I don't know, because that is a live option to you. I'm not just saying that now. It's totally a live option to you. So do you think that God could have, like, it's either the case that God has, like, more than one potential desire he could actualize, or just only one possible desire, right, that he could actualize?
Right, like that's a dichotomy, right? It has to be one or the other there, right?
Yeah, okay, so here's the thing. Are you saying, like, could God create a universe any way that he wants to, any way that he desires?
He could God could desire a universe, could desire to actualize any set of constants for a universe that he desires, right?
I mean,
he's not forced. He's not forced to create
them. More toward.
Do you think he's forced to create them? Your options is he's forced, or he has the free will to create whichever ones he wants. Which one is it?
Well, no, and you see, I don't see how this is relevant to my.
It's going to be relevant. It's going to be relevant. It is going to be relevant.
Yeah,
I promise
it's the exact same construction that you're using to talk about the universe. So
I'm literally taking your line of reasoning and going to apply it. Just wait. So do you think that God is forced to create?
You're asking me this question about.
Just tell me yes, no, or I don't know. I don't know why this is difficult. Yeah. Do you think that God has free will to create other constants? Yes or no?
Didn't I just tell you I don't know, though? And you were remembering.
Okay. So you don't know, but is it a true dichotomy? What Jmike was just laying out, that either God does have all of these other possibilities of how the universe could be constructed, or he does not, and there is only the singular possibility. Do you agree that is a true dichotomy? It has to be one or the other.
What does this have to do with God's existence?
This is really important.
Just stop worrying about that, Caleb. We're having a conversation. This isn't a fucking video that has a goddamn conclusion already. None of us know how this fucking conversation goes. Just engage with us, man. Just be a person for 5 seconds. Fuck.
Is it a dichotomy or not? You don't have to say you know which one, because I'm going to spell out the problem on each. That's why I'm glad that SR is doing this, so we can stick to that topic.
Okay, so there's a couple of things I have to say now, and they were drastically changed after what you just said.
I'm literally going to fucking drop you from the call if you don't fucking know how to answer a question. Seriously, I'm getting irritated. I'm seriously getting irritated. Silly. I'm just going to hang up and then tell the audience what I'm thinking, right? How about that? Because I'm still going to get what I want to say out. I'm trying to have you part of this conversation. So just stop moving on and just answer, please. Like, you started this whole thing answering, and we specified and clarified, and we said yes, but let me give this kind of an analogy. That's fine. If you want to say, like, I'm going to answer yes or no, let me say this thing quick and I'll say yes. Just switch it around. Just say yes because, no because. I'm not trying to prevent you from getting, like, elucidating on your point. I'm just trying to know what part of the question you're answering. That's it. So do you agree that there's a true dichotomy there? That's either like God can create he could actualize other constants, or he's just forced to create those constants, assuming that God is creating constants.
Okay, I wanted to ask for permission really quick for something. This is something I forgot to do with the call screener. So I have a podcast, and I was going
Yeah,
to.
I don't
care about your
care,
fucking
and we're
podcast.
not going to let you talk about it.
I
And
don't
to
care about
be
your fucking
honest,
podcast.
yeah, I'm gonna give it to you, Jmike. I'm supposed to be in the driver's seat, but I'm gonna give you the option, man. Do we bring him back on, or we just let him go for the day? Because Caleb, you've called in a bunch. We've had decent
Dropping him.
conversations. I think perfect. We drop him. Cool.
Yeah, I'm just gonna explain
Say
what
it.
the
Please,
issue.
please,
Yeah, because
please
like
say it.
he's not gonna engage with this. It's not important, but this is the issue. So like, if your whole issue is with this probability thing, that there's, because this is the whole idea, is that there's this giant space of possibilities or probability where you have the constants of the universe being some way. Now, in that giant array, that the way that they could be, there's like one or very few that allow for life to come about, right? Just not good life, maybe not bad life, just life, just having the possibility of life, right? That's what theists want to get, what they want to say. Now, here's the problem. If he thinks that God can only create like one necessary, he has one necessary set of desires, and that just, he has no choice, he's forced, well, then the constants are necessary, right? Then in themselves they're necessary, which would a view a naturalist could take. They could just say, oh, the fine-tuned constants are necessary, they had to be that way. You're adding this extra God, why not add 20, 50 million more gods to it, right? It seems like just totally like just principle, like just take Occam's razor, very simple, right? There's no reason to add those. Now, in that sense, if he says that, you just shave off the necessary God, because you already have a necessary universe with necessary constants. Didn't need the God to get there. Now, the other route, which is the way he wanted to go, is to say that, the route that a lot of theists will like to go is that, yeah, God is omnipotent, meaning he could actualize any set of desires that are logically possible. Great, but think about the probability space of that. The probability space of God landing on this one world with life, as opposed to the ones with marbles or with SRs talking to each other, right, is immensely improbable that we land on that one out of the infinite amount of constants. So all you've done by trying to arrest this brute contingency, right, this thing that could have been otherwise, but we don't have an explanation on naturalism, we insert God. But then when you do that, the same problem ends up popping its head in your view, that now we have to, by parity of reasoning, since we've invoke the designer to design the finely tuned constants, and now we have these finely tuned desires that pick out the finely tuned constants, we need another designer to design those desires, which are finely tuned, to pick out the finely tuned constants, and we have to do that ad infinitum. So bad argument if you're going to rest it on the probability space, because it's going to come bite you in the butt. Promise you.
Yep. I am very, very glad we got that out finally, because it is so, there's other things too to push back on the teleology of it all, folks. Absolutely there is. I'm sure Jmike and I there's clips of us playing right now on a stream that is us talking about this, and those are wonderful too. But the one that Jmike just laid out right there is so chef's kiss beautiful. And yeah. Thank goodness I'm not a believer, because I don't have to have an answer to that. But hey, folks, did you know that there's this little town in Texas called Austin, Texas? It's a bit weird, but it's nice. It's nice. It is. It is a real location, whether you have set foot
It's my
in
first
the city
gay
or
bar
not.
in Austin, and it was awesome. It was like the greatest experience I've had. We both were at the gay bar. It was awesome. It was amazing.
It was an
Awesome.
absolutely
way better than
wonderful
cooler
time.
bars. And I understand, like, God, like somebody like just feeling way more comfortable as a woman, like, and not having like, oh my God, it just makes so much sense to me.
Yeah, it was so much. Like the whole place had maybe like 2 lights in it, and but like I've never felt safer. I've never felt safer.
My girlfriend mentioned that, and I was just like, oh my God, holy
great.
shit, I can.
It was a great time.
Duh, stupid man brain here. Like,
yeah, right. And you know what's super cool about that little city with a great gay bar, which I don't actually remember the name of, by the way, but that doesn't matter, because we're not here to promote them. I'm here to promote the fact that you can go to tiny.cc/ACA meetup and follow all of the wonderful events and get out to the Free Thought Library there in that beautiful city of Austin. You can go hang out with all the freaking wonderful people that are in that area for like Philosophy Under the Stars, game nights, and all kinds of other things. I know there is literally, when I was there, I looked at the calendar on the wall. There was something on the calendar for every single day, practically. So, and if they're not doing something and you want to do it, I think you only have to ask a couple of people. So if you're in that area, go hang out, and especially make sure that you stop by for the weekly watch parties at the Free Thought Libraries on Sundays for live viewings of Talk Heathen and the Atheist Experience. That is every 7 days on the dot, same time, same place. The doors are open at noon. Go there and tell them SR sent you, or actually don't. Tell them that you've never talked to me and I am your least favorite host. They will probably invite you in a lot quicker. We have more calls and I want to take them. We are going to grab Johan out in Florida. He, him pronouns, is a pantheist and not a theist. That is very interesting. Well, you were chatting with Jmike and SR. Tell us, Johan, why are you a pantheist and not an atheist? I'm more interested in that.
Talking about this before the show?
Kind of.
Yeah, kind of.
Yeah, hello. Thank you so much for taking my call. I'm happy to be with you. First of all, because I survived the hurricane with no damage to person or property.
Oh, that's awesome.
Secondly, because I spoke to Jmike once before and wanted to call back and sort of complete that, my thoughts on that call. Yeah. So I am a pantheist rather than an atheist for two reasons, one of which is metaphysical and the other of which is ethical. And I find the ethical reason more compelling. So if it's okay with you, I'd like to lay that one out.
I might be more interested in the ethical reasons, so please lay that out. Yeah.
I'm also going to incorporate. Hold on, real quick. It's pronounced Johan, right? I just want to make sure I'm getting that right.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yep.
Yes,
Okay.
Johan.
I vaguely do remember our conversation. If you don't mind, I'm not going to exclude SR into this conversation. So I'm happy to go through the dialectic with you, but I don't want to exclude if you're okay with that, like, because otherwise I should just move on to another caller, because I don't like to do the thing where my host has to sit out for a little bit, unless they just want to do that. So as long as you're cool with that, we can proceed.
Yeah, great. I've listened to SR and have a lot of respect for him and his views, so that would be wonderful.
Awesome.
So the ethical reason for my pantheism is essentially grounded in sociolinguistics and psycholinguistics, and it has to do with the fact that words have power and they're used as tools and weapons in the world. Mm-hmm. And where I'm coming from is the word God has perhaps been used in a more destructive way than any other word in Western languages. It's been used to establish and support violent and oppressive hierarchies that are paternalistic and do great damage to people and create a sort of, in a Hegelian sense, a kind of a master-slave morality, which is oppressive and violent and does great harm in the world. And the problem that I have with atheism on ethical grounds is that the atheists, while denying the existence of this transcendent interventionist personal God who establishes and supports all these hierarchies, and I support atheism for that, but the atheist, in my view, sort of cedes use of the word God to the theist and says, we're just not going to play on that playground. You can have that word and do whatever you want to do with it because we don't believe in it. And pantheism comes in and rescues the word God from the monotheists and from those who believe in the Abrahamic hierarchical master-slave God. And we say, not that God doesn't exist, but that you, monotheists, you have God all wrong. You have God establishing this hierarchy which puts human beings at the top and puts man at the top of that.
So if I can cut in for a sec, Johan, because I'm wondering, I guess one of the struggles I'm having right now, and I think this is oftentimes a struggle I have with pantheists or pantheism in general, is you're saying a word that I've heard a lot of people say, and a lot of people give defining characteristics to. And really, at the end of the day, there's this fuzzy cloud of a concept that we're trying to figure out what the heck it is. And it kind of doesn't matter what specific noises we use, right? But the concept, this is now literally what we were talking about before the show, Jmike. Yes.
Yeah.
And so I guess what I'm getting at is, what are you saying when you're saying God here? Because right now I have no understanding. I get that you're not in the, Westboro Baptist Church view of a God. I totally get that. But I just genuinely don't know what you're saying when you say you believe in a God. It's almost as if you said to me, like, I believe in a blah, 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 blah.
Yeah,
I'm just like, I don't know what that means.
I'm kind of in the same spot because, like, if me and SR had I'll use kind of the example we were talking about before, which is that, like, if we had some dispute about, like, I said, hey, I'll meet you at a bank at like 5 o'clock, right? I'll meet you at the bank. And SR goes to like a financial institution. And I call him, I'm like, where are you? He's like, well, I'm at the bank. And I'm like, no, I'm at the river and I don't see you. Right now, all we're talking about, all that happened is, like, there's like this weird like thing going on where we use the same word, but we're hitching our wagons to different concepts. Like, I meant a riverbank, right? And he meant a financial institution. But right now it's not clear that, like, okay, I understand what the distinction between, you don't believe the thing that, God, theists believe about God, but I can't do the same kind of comparison like a riverbank and a financial institution. It's like I have the financial institution, but not the other thing. So, so I have to agree with SR there. So yeah, help us out.
Yeah, so that's excellent and a fantastic question that sort of leads me in a way to the metaphysical reason for my statement. But I would just say that up front, I will admit the difficulty with pantheism is in describing what we mean by this word God, because we have to say, I as a pantheist say ultimately that whenever I speak to you about the word God, I'm speaking metaphorically, because I'm speaking about something that human beings lack the intellectual capacity to understand. It means, for me, I'm talking about.
Wait, if it's just metaphorical, there's not going to be a substantive dispute.
Right.
Johan, this is what we were just talking about before the show, is that there's not going to be a substantive dispute between us. It's going to be a semantic dispute, right? The same way with like the financial institution, because if it turns out, this is why I think SR and I both want to identify this thing, is that once we find out what that thing is, if we go, oh yeah, okay, like, yeah, I agree. I might even hold the same kind of metaphorical way of expressing that scenario or something like that. But that isn't telling me like, there's not like a substantive dispute between us. It's just that you're using this grunt, this phonetic, I always say phonetic sound. It seems redundant. I'll say it anyway. It's like phonetic sound, God, to describe something that is a proposition or a concept that we share. So that's why, like, it gets a little hard. And I think this might've been what we talked about last time, but when I talk to pantheists, it's almost every single time I'm trying to understand if they're adding anything else literally to the universe that I don't share, propositions I don't share. Because if it turns out we just make this giant Excel spreadsheet and you list out all, put in the cell all the stuff, and I compare mine, it's all the same, and you just are using this term God, and I'm saying I'm an atheist, all we've identified is there's not a substantive dispute, there's a semantic dispute, and I'm not interested in semantic disputes. I think they're a waste of time.
Yeah, if really what you mean by God is just literally all of the individual atoms in existence in the entire universe, Jmike and I agree that atoms exist, and if that's all you mean by God, then it's like, cool. I would just probably say, hey, maybe use a different term because this is kind of unhelpful, but whatever. Okay, cool.
But no, I don't want to take you off, Johan, but yeah, that's just kind of me. I know me and SRC exactly the same way on this, so that'll help you kind of get our picture. Because if it turns out that you don't have any substantive distinction between us, that's not an insult to you. That's just to say there's no substantive distinction between our views other than the semantics we use. Yeah. Then we probably won't have anything interesting to say for the audience.
Yeah. And we could go back to the ethical thing, to be honest, because I think if we discover that there isn't a substantive difference and it really is semantic, I would imagine, based on what you said about the ethical side of it, which I have some problems with, but I would imagine you would say that there is more utility in using the word God than the other word, which is what I would probably try to get you to. So that, but anyway, go with that. Is there a semantic difference or a substantive difference here when you're using this term God?
There may be a substantive difference, and if there is, I can quickly lay out enough for you so that you can take it and
give
run.
it to us. Yeah, it's perfect.
And what I would say is that what led me to pantheism from atheism was trying to grapple with the hard problem of consciousness. And in trying to grapple with the hard problem of consciousness, I came up against the question of, if the universe is only a material universe composed of atoms, subatomic particles, etc., the problem of how to account for the emergence of consciousness from unconscious matter, given with a materialist or reductionist scientific study.
Well, I'm an identity theorist, so I reject emergence anyway. That's not the only option. I guess you could call a physicalist, but I'm an identity theorist. So, like, there isn't emergence. The brain just is. Like, the mind just is the brain, in my view.
Yeah,
I get
and
rid
it
of some
sounds,
extra ontology that way.
it sounds like what you're ultimately saying at the end of the day, Johan, is that because we don't have a good solid answer to this particular problem, it has to be this other conclusion. And that's just fallacious, right? That's just...
That is fallacious. Yeah, that is fallacious, and that's not the point. That's not what I'm saying. What I am saying is that I provisionally accept a panpsychist explanation that consciousness is a fundamental property and not an accidental property or an emergence property, that consciousness is somehow fundamental in the universe. And I accept that panpsychism provisionally. It's a tentative belief which can be falsified by a successful materialist explanation for the emergence of consciousness.
See right there, though, that's where I have the problem, Johan, is because all the way up until that last little bit that you tacked on there, I was tracking with you, man. I was following along because you were like, man, look, you can't be 100% certain about anything, but I think there's some points on my side of the argument to, lean towards this direction. And I was like, man, Johan, you on it, man. I'm with you. And then you went, until they come up with something that defeats my position. And that's why I'm pushing back on this, is because ultimately you really are just relying on that. You really are relying on the fact that nobody has demonstrated to you that this doesn't work. But that doesn't mean that it does work.
I don't even understand what the philosophy of mind stuff has to do with any of this. Like, it's not really clear to me, like, whether you're a physical, because this is a problem I have, is that people make this big deal about the hard problem of consciousness. And like as someone who's an identity theorist, there's no hard problem in my view. But, and I know people are like, what? There's no hard problem. An identity theorist or a reductive physicalist is going to reject that there's a hard problem. But this is annoying to me, is that in all of these views, when I read the literature, I see immense problems in all these views. Panpsychism, you have these little proto minds. What's in it in these little proto minds, and how do they form bigger minds like ours? Like, that seems weird, right? Like, having only mental God. What is it for, like, this theistic idealism with this, like, mentality? How does you go from the mental to the physical? Why does it not work in both ways? What is like the supposed asymmetry between going from this physical to the mental, as opposed to like this mental thing to this physical thing that God creates, right? If you're going to host an issue, you have to show the asymmetry between that. But regardless, they all host problems, right? All of these views have problems. Dualism, substance dualism, they all have like supposed problems. But a lot of it, what I think is going on there is utility of like how we use language. It doesn't fully capture what we're trying to express on certain concepts. But I don't know what turns on any of that. Even if I was to grant like, yep, there's a hard problem of consciousness, all these problems. How does that get me to like some I guess this is a better way to put it. I think all of those views in philosophy of mind are compatible with any view. You could be an atheist or a theist or a pantheist and hold any one of those views. Michael Humer is an atheist. He's a substance dualist. He thinks souls exist. He's a PhD philosophy professor. He believes that, right? He's a smart guy. I don't think he's right about that.
Right.
But you can totally have that view and have your arguments for it, right? I think they're fleeting, but.
So what's your response, Johan? What do you think to all that?
Yeah, my response is I agree with everything you say, and I just would circle back to come full circle to the ethical argument that I
Okay.
began with.
Cool.
Yeah, I was like, we
goes
can't
back to
agree
my
though. We
first
have to
call.
disagree. We have to disagree for there to be a substantive
well-
dispute, Johan. No, I'm just messing with you. I'm just messing.
No, I'm glad. Go back to the ethical thing, because I have some stuff I want to poke at just a little bit there. But yeah, go back to that, Johan.
On the ethical argument, I just want to circle back to my previous call where I made the contention that we have a consequentialist imperative to believe that which supports well-being. And my pantheist view, in practical terms, since I adopted my pantheist view as opposed to my previous atheist view, I find that I'm more supportive of my fellow beings, including animals.
Sure.
I find that I'm living a more
Hang on. I can jump in right there,
happier-
Johan, because I see where you're going with that, and I can jump in because I can grant that. Hey, man, look, when I believe X, Y or Z, right? Like I behave as a better person. It's like, yeah, fine. I can see the ramifications, right? But unfortunately, that's a poor methodology for believing something is true, right? Because we have a lot of Christians that change their lives. We have a lot of Muslims that change their lives. A lot of atheists that change their lives. A lot of people do that, right? There's a lot of different ways to get to that conclusion. But what I want to go back to, though, is about the moral imperative to believe that which supports well-being. I don't understand that. That doesn't make any sense to me whatsoever. And I don't know where that comes from. I don't understand that concept of a moral imperative. What I understand,
that's where I wanted to jump in.
I knew you wanted to.
It's like gibberish to me.
What I understand, for instance, Johan, is like, if we accept, consequentialism, if we accept this stance of well-being as the thing that we're going for, and if these things lead to higher well-being, like, then it's like okay, I can see how it would make sense for us to do the things, right? But where I'm not at is just this generalized, we should do this thing for well-being, because I don't know that we're all on the same page there. And also, the moral imperative to believe something as true, that doesn't follow. The imperative to maybe act as if we believe something is true, I could see how it follows, but I don't see how you have to accept something is true because it has benefit. Like, do those kind of pushbacks, do they mean anything? Do they hit you, or is it just all just nonsense I'm saying here, Johan?
We're also assuming that you're talking categorical imperatives and not hypothetical imperatives.
Right.
Well, I'm talking consequentialist imperatives. So, in other words,
Hold on. The way I understand what you mean, but the way I understand this divide is categorical imperatives, which I think is total gibberish and makes no sense, and I can explain why I think that makes no sense, or hypothetical imperatives, which is something that me and a secular and probably a whole bunch of the audience is going to agree with. There is this objective thing in the world. Like, if I go and punch Elliot in the face, like right now, and I just go like, bop, like I just hit him right in the face. There's an objective fact that's going to decrease his well-being. Nobody is going to disagree with that. Right. But that's not like a realist project. It's not a categorical imperative, because literally any person in any meta-ethical view would agree that punching Elliot in the face is going to decrease their well-being. That says nothing about realism. It's compatible with realism. It's compatible with anti-realism. It's compatible with non-cognitivism. It's compatible with emotivism. It's compatible with all these different views. So it doesn't say anything towards that. And the further thing is that if you want to express this view on a categorical notion, I'm going to have to like really try to understand this view, because the way that people express stance independent obligations or categorical imperatives, saying that you have reason to do X independent of anybody's opinion, is to me like saying this food is tasty independent of taste buds. Like, divorced from taste buds, this is tasty. It doesn't mean anything. Like, what's built into the concept of tastiness is this like referential notion to taste buds. What's built into this concept of like what you should do is some reference to something. Like, oh, I should do this if I hold this standard. I should do this if I think well-being is the case. Should statements, just like tasty statements, only what makes sense is that they have that built into their concept. If you don't have that, if there's nothing built into the concept of like a categorical imperative where it's referential towards something like that, it just sounds like it's not even clear it's propositional to me. It's not even clear it could be true or false.
Mm-hmm. What do you think, Johan?
Yeah, I reject categorical imperatives.
Yay!
I'm absolutely talking about hypothetical.
Okay, well, I wasted a whole bunch of time, so I apologize.
It's fine. It's fine.
It's informative. It reminds me, on a previous call, we reached this point, and we ended up having to say, we concluded the call, which we may well do again today. We concluded the call by saying that
I'm starting to remember that we had agreements.
Yeah, and I'm feeling like we're getting kind of close to a wrap point. Real quick.
I want to get him to finish his statement if he can.
Okay, yeah,
I feel like we
please,
talked over him a bunch of times, and that's my fault, really.
Yeah, go ahead, Johan.
No, I just wanted to wrap it up by saying that if we can agree that well-being is a value that we agree upon, then we'll never be able to agree on any statements, because a should statement is always going to be based on a core value.
Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah, definitely. And I think that's why Jmike and I come to such similar places whenever people are talking about, objective morality and so forth. Okay, so look, here's what we do, Johan, because
I like Johan.
I know I enjoyed this like crazy. I think that call you had the last time about the moral imperative must be freaking awesome. So I am gonna go find that after this show and watch it. And everybody out there, you should too, because you can find all the clips and the live shows. It's very easy. But here's what we're gonna do, Johan. Give us a call back in the future, and let's talk about this some more, because I think there is some really interesting stuff here. You said a lot of things that I'm still thinking about. I still got bouncing around in my brain, and I feel like we can. Yeah, I feel like we can make some progress. So send us an email.
Yeah, because like if you send an email to Teven, what the fuck is Teven? TV at atheist-community.org. Teven. That reminds me of that. Was that the cable guy when like Matthew Broderick punches Jim Carrey in the face, and he's like, "Steven, my lisp is gone." And he punches him again. He's like, "You stupid son of a bitch." Anyway, if you go to TV at atheist-community.org, it's on the screen. There you go. Send an email, and I would love to correspond back with you. Maybe if you want, we can take it to Discord so we don't have to exchange like a month of emails, which we could probably do in like one or two 2-hour conversations or 1-hour conversations. So Johan, if that's interesting to you at all, I eventually do look at my emails. I've gotten back to, I think, most of them, and I'll make a point to, but I would love to chat with you about it and just give you a lot of time to kind of lay out stuff. I can write it out and see where there is maybe a substantive disagreement, or if there's just not, and we're just kind of semantically disagreeing here.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Johan. We appreciate you, brother. And come back, hang out with us, and let's do some more chats in the future, man. We're gonna let you go so that we can get to some of these phenomenal super chats that y'all have been sending us, and I have been so rudely ignoring them. So we have time. We can get this. We got it. We got this. We are gonna knock out of all of these right back to back. Okay, so strap in or on, your choice, and sit down. So we got $4.99 from Jonathan France saying SR and Jmike are the Batman and Robin of this show. I will not say who is whom. Maybe closer to Nightwing. Either way, I'll take Nightwing.
I'll be Robin.
You want to be Robin? Well, okay. If you're Robin,
I like being the rhythm guitar player in bands, and like I like the spotlight.
Yeah.
A lot of reasons why I don't go do the YouTube stuff.
Yeah. Can I
like being part of a team?
Can I be the Batman from Batman Beyond though? Like, I know that's not the original Bruce. We're not going to get into it. It doesn't matter. Yeah. It doesn't matter. Thank you, Jonathan. We appreciate you. We will be fighting over that for a week. Jason Jones sent us $7 saying, if man is 5 and the devil is 6, that must make me 7. Well, I like it. Jason. I think Jason might be saying they're God. I'm not positive, but hail Jason. We've got $10 from Miranda Rensberger, a member for 6 months, and always hanging out with us here.
Always.
But answering a yes or no question is hard if it takes me off my script. Yeah, for sure. Guys,
I want to be fair to that person that when they asked yes or no questions, there might have been, if you look back, like our hesitance to answer because we were unclear about the question. And clarificatory stuff, I think, is perfectly fine if someone's not answering. But like, it didn't appear that I was getting something that was like clarifying what the question was, as opposed to, or like the words in it, as opposed to it was just like not getting an answer. But I don't know, maybe I'm wrong about that. But yeah, I do want to extend my apologies to, I think it was Caleb, if I did a similar thing. I don't want to be hypocritical about it. But
yeah, and I think that's great. And I, I'm not always here to say that I ask the right questions. I'm not always here to say that there isn't, more explanation that's needed for this. Like I'm trying my best, you guys, honestly, to have these conversations, to be as open, as just genuine as I can. And so if I'm pushing back and I'm just saying, hey man, give me a straight answer here, it's not that I'm not going to let you clarify. It's that there are some times where there really is only one or two choices, man, and you got to pick one.
And we got to save time.
Yeah, and I'm trying to figure out what the fuck you're saying. Yeah, we've only got so much time, you guys. But the good news is we are on every Sunday at 4:30 p.m. Central, and so you can always call back. But we've got more super chats. 10 pounds from Joe Lonsdale saying, great show, guys. It's my first time watching live as I am visiting the USA and am in the right time zone. That is so freaking cool, Joe. That is great. I'm so glad you are here, and I hope you're having a wonderful, wonderful time. And
hopefully it's not terrifying.
Honestly,
it would be coming over here.
I can totally. I have so many friends now from all over the world, and they're just like, "How are you not constantly terrified?" And it's like, "What do you mean?" And they're just like, "Oh, all the horrible things we all know about happening on a regular basis in this country." We're trying to do our parts. we got a couple from David Haxer saying, sending $2 Canadian, saying, "OMG, just grab the Shulker box." I'm not positive what that is. I think it's a Minecraft reference, though. So everybody can make fun of me in chat or the Discord after show and tell me I'm not cool and I'm an old fogey and all of that shit. Then we've got another $2 Canadian from David Haxer saying, watch out for the creeper. Okay, so now it is definitely a Minecraft reference. That is definitely what's going on there. I know that. I am hip. I am cool. And folks, before we grab another couple of calls here, because we got some good ones and I am excited to talk to some of these wonderful people here, I have to send. I am legally obligated. I have a moral, categorical imperative to send a massive thank you to the crew, the wonderful people that put this show together every week, the video operators, the audio operators, the note takers, the call screeners, the chat moderators, all the people who put up that adorable dog and whoever that person is holding that beautiful puppy. But all of those wonderful people do so much work, and they make Jmike and I look as gorgeous as we do when we come on here. So if you're not feeling it today, if you don't think we look great, you know who to talk to. It's not us. We actually are 10 out of 10, looking awesome. Anyway. We've got a couple more calls.
I can do. I have to point out. I can do one more. I have a hard cutoff tonight. So
I was going to say. You want to do one? Okay.
I can do one. Yeah.
Do you see the calls? Pick your favorite one, and then we'll grab.
Now you're gonna make me. Like,
I know. I'm putting you on the spot.
God damn it.
Yeah. I'm putting you on the spot. I'm making you work for it, man.
Yeah. Now. Man, I got to get to know you over a whole weekend. Slept in the same room with you, and then now you're using it against me.
It's all coming back to bite you.
Because we're like really good friends.
Right,
now.
You're regretting this instantly.
I have to say, like that. What you get with secular on TV is what you get in real life. It's one of the most genuine people that I've met. Him and Forrest are this exact same on the show as they are off the show. The exact same.
Yeah.
So
Forrest.
I just want to point that out.
Yeah.
Hard to do that analysis on yourself, but I can do it on them. So let's go with I'm trying to read these really quick. There was someone in the comments that said they were going to call in today, and I don't remember what their username was. I'm hoping it's Polo, so I'm going to go with
let's do it.
Polo. It's the first one, so that'll make me feel.
Come on, Polo from Pennsylvania. He, him wants to talk about some secular humanism and stuff. So
yours looks good too.
What is up, Polo?
Yeah.
You were talking with Jmike and SR.
Yeah, great. I'm glad to finally be talking to somebody about this. I grew up a secular humanist, and I'm not sure if you're familiar with that Ethical Culture Society or Ethical Humanism as a religion, but I realized that there was a lot of things that I would like to do in terms of helping out people, just in terms of like simple things like, homeless shelters, things like, victims advocacy, things that are humanist in nature, right? But they are given more latitude in terms of religion than they are in terms of, just a non-profit.
Ooh, hold up just a second. I'm so sorry. Polo. Your audio is coming really, really bad right now, and it's starting to like squeal and howl. I don't know if you are standing in a microwave or next to a tunnel with a wind fan. I don't know what's going on, but if you just stand still for us for just a second, smash that microphone right up to your face. We want to hear nice and crystal clear.
How is that? Is that
Oh
better?
my God, that's gorgeous. That is gorgeous. Whatever you just did, keep freaking doing it.
Okay. Yeah, I took you off my earbuds.
Oh, perfect.
My earbuds.
Yeah.
Are,
So give us
yeah.
the whole
let's get back
thing
to it.
again.
Okay, so I'm looking to start a new religion because the ethical culture society that I grew up in, I don't feel like they're doing enough. I don't feel like they're actually going out and helping. I think that the religion as it stands is doing too much that is just like, I don't want to say self-serving, but they preach to the choir, if you will. And I want to start something that does more interfaith, that reaches out to those who actually behave humanistically in other religions. I want to reach out to those who call themselves Christians or call themselves Buddhists, call themselves Jews, who really are looking at the religions in terms of a humanistic viewpoint and do things that will really help society. But I'm worried that labeling the religious part, labeling the religion, and especially saying that I want to have interfaith, which, obviously, faith is going to be a big problem for anybody who's an atheist, such as myself. That would be a hard hurdle to climb for anyone to want to work with me.
Yeah, I think there's a couple of different things that come to my mind because and I'm trying to remember this name. It's like Church of the Pragmatic Crystal or something like that. And there's one or two others that are kind of in that vein that are kind of in a similar route as what you're talking about. And I'm in an interesting place, and I'll do my best to be as succinct as possible, Polo. But part of me doesn't want to discourage you at all, because I think the general thrust of what you're going for is kind of in line with, where I come to a lot of this stuff. I'd love if there was some perfect system of how we all engage with each other and we could all just fucking believe it, and
that
everybody
religion word.
Yeah, right, but right the religion, right I have that initial kind of like and in part because when I use the term religion, unless I'm specifically talking about it in a legal context for how laws should affect the people in a society and so forth. When I'm talking about religion, I'm specifically talking about a set of rituals and dogma mixed with the supernatural beliefs, right? So that doesn't work for like Satanism, and that doesn't work for secular humanism unless we talk about the legal concept. And then it's like, yes, secular humanism and the Satanic Temple have to be a part of that, because if they're not under that legal definition of religion, then people could discriminate against people based on that. And that's not cool. That's not okay. That's wrong. Yeah. So like, I don't know. I'm in a bit of a weird spot. Jmike, what do you think?
No, I'm not going to add anything that you didn't already say. So I mean, I'd probably just pull it to Polo just to see what their thoughts on what you said were, because I'm just going to repeat the same thing.
I'm really more worried. Yeah, I'm sorry to interrupt. I wasn't trying to interrupt.
No, you're good.
No, you're good. There's a delay.
I'm really more worried. Yeah, I'm really more worried about what kind of hurdles I might encounter. I mean, I've been doing a little bit of research on Felix Adler, on I mean, I know Felix Adler was coming to humanism out of Judaism, and I know that the Unitarian Church is doing, you know, something similar. And, you know, I was looking at you know, humanist Buddhists, and I know that there's a lot of groups out there that are like tagging into other religions, but still calling themselves humanist. So I want to, I guess, kind of unite those. And I get that they will want to join. I mean, they will want to do efforts with me if I push. I remember when I was young and I was working with the Ethical Society, and we started things like, you know, a soup kitchen. And, you know, we had the local Universalists jumping in to help us. But God forbid if we were to ask the, you know, the Hasidic community down the street, they would be like, "Oh, hell no," you know. So,
well, let me say this real quick,
because
Polo.
of who we were.
Right. And let me say this. I think 10 years ago, had you had this thought and you called in, I think it would have been much more reasonable to say, "Nah, man, you're probably not going to get as much of that interfaith dialogue and that reaching across the aisle and working together and shit," you know. But that was 10 years ago. And these days, I think there's a lot more folks, both on the non-religious side and the religious side, that have more of this mindset of like, man, there's a lot of other more important things for us to be doing, right? Like taking care of our unhoused population, like making sure that there's adequate fucking healthcare and education for people, right? And so these days, I have seen more and more of that desire to find that connection and work on the real important things like that, and be like, "Hey, man, we'll talk about this whole whether or not like souls are real like later, you know. Let's work on this first." I literally was at a humanist meetup just last night in Nashville. Every single one of us there atheists, you know what I'm saying? And yet there was a Methodist preacher, humanist. And that was what he talked about the entire time. What he was talking about was how, as a believer, as a Christian, how he can push back against this Christian nationalist agenda that is just trying to shove religion down everybody's throat and criminalize people just for who they are and all that shit. And so, and it was beautiful to see that and to hear from him how his congregation is so receptive to that message. And so, yeah, I think in 2024, a lot of us are a little tired of that, you know, immovable object and unstoppable force just butting up against each other when all of our friends and family are suffering. And I think there's more and more of us that are kind of wanting that similar track.
You get that motivation from the beliefs. You don't have to really return back to them if it turns out that they're shaped in a way where what informs the beliefs or motivates or forms the actions rather and motivates the actions is if it's just like I talk to someone, they're like, well, it's Jesus and Yahweh, and like I see them doing all this stuff and they're like, trans people are my friends, I want to fight on the front lines for them. Then I'm looking back and like, I don't got a problem with if that's what's making you do that. Like I would love for everybody to be like that. You know? So, but the main thing I don't like the being in the same club as a with like I don't I think I'm like stuck in the thing that SR is kind of stuck in, which is just like at the beginning, which is like I hear the word and extending into that, and I think I don't want to be in the same club with Scientologists and Christians, and I don't want to be in their club, you know. But I know that's really artificial looking, and you have a more in-depth thought process that what you're trying to like show by using that. Like I understand that. I think that's part of but that kind of reaction from atheists, I think, is what you're going to get a lot. So you're probably, a lot of this is probably going to be a lot of like marketing and like being a good salesman on this pitch, like giving this pitch to people where they don't kind of do the same kind of moves that me and Elliot, like, because the baggage is there. You know, I mean, the fucking baggage is there.
I know.
You're asking us to basically like hold that off for 1 second, but it's coming with us in the conversation. You know, so it's one of those things. But I think your head's in the right area 100%. So
wrap us up, Polo. What's your thoughts from all that?
I think this is my project 2025.
I like that viewpoint of it. Let's have a better project 2025 than this Christian nationalist, unconstitutional, un-American garbage that these motherfuckers are trying to shove down our throats. I'm with you there, Polo. Well, thank you so much, brother. We appreciate that.
All
And hey, give us a call in the future. Let us know how you're doing on it and what the challenges are and yeah, what the successes are, because we want to celebrate them both, man. Thank you so much, Polo. And Jmike, dude, thank you, brother. Yeah. I always love hanging out with you. And I mean, I have learned so much from you over the years, man. You have been so helpful because you do such a great job of laying out these really, really difficult concepts. I am going to...
Did you want to get Scott in here? I was just thinking that.
Well, we're going to pull him up here in just a second after we kick your ass off the screen. But what I'm thinking is I'm going to tell everybody that story of how we were in the room battling out the philosophy. And I'm going to tell everybody that fun story of us hanging out. But y'all, if you ever get a chance to meet Jmike in person, I promise you will be grinning ear to ear the entire time. He's an absolutely wonderful guy. Thank you, brother. And just as smart in person. It is not a facade. He does.
Well, you know, I appreciate it, but I got some beef with you before I go. A little bit of beef. You know, I got home, I get on my computer, I get on Facebook, and I post this awesome status, and I single out, you know, secular. Just had a fucking great time, especially with secular. I think if I check that Facebook status, I don't even have a like from you, motherfucker.
Yeah, okay.
I don't think you really enjoyed our time.
No. It's I'm a kind of a Luddite, you know. I'm just not good with the whole text stuff. Good. I swear it's on there.
You know what? No. You actually have me because you asked me to respond to something you wrote, and I was like, yeah. And then I went back to look at it, and it wasn't in my phone message. I was like, can you send it again? And you're like, yeah, whatever. And I never fucking responded to you. So I totally did that to you. So we're even. Okay. Is it cool for even now?
Yeah, we're good. Cool. All right. Back to friends. All right, brother. Love you too. Get out of here. Go eat some food or whatever. And
thank you, audience.
I will. We will definitely have Jmike back, y'all know, because he is awesome. He always has good stuff. And I will tell you guys real quick the fun story. So, like, I think it was like the second night we were down there, and Jmike and I are sharing a room, and you know, like the two of us, we just love to have those conversations where we're digging into really nuanced topics and stuff, you know, but like we've been going all day recording videos, hanging out with people, all this stuff, you know. So we're back in the hotel room, and like, you know, Jmike's going and he's like, yeah, man, so my problem with teleology is, you know, and then there's this construction and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, you know, I get one or two responses in, and like next thing you know, like I kind of start dozing off, and he kind of starts dozing off, and it turns into, I'm sure the last like 5 minutes of that conversation was more in the vein of like, yeah, man, and premise 2 is incredulity, right, man? Yeah, man. Yeah. So even when we are completely tired and brain dead, that is what nerds like Jmike and I are doing. We are just hashing out the philosophy. But thank goodness we have somebody here to save us. Mr. Scott Dickie, where are you, brother? Get up here. Oh my gosh.
Hey.
What is up, dude? How are you?
You know, I don't know what's more intimidating, being asked to follow Jmike onto the show or to be asked to follow Nightwing onto the show. So either way you slice it, I think I'm in trouble here. But you know what? That's how committed I am to the show. I'll sit here and I'll take the hits.
Don't worry, you're with Batman. We're safe.
Okay, all right, good.
Is that? Are we fringing on copyright? That's not where you're at.
I think it's good. I think it's good.
We have a couple of other really good calls. And folks, by the way, I know I am going to be right after this show ends. I am going to be hanging out in the Discord. You can find those links in the live chat in the description. Scott, are you going to be hanging out in the Discord? Do you have time today?
Sure. Yeah, I can be there.
Heck yeah. So get ready for that, you guys. I always have to run to the bathroom and like get a drink or some snacks or something. So like 5 or 10 minutes after the show. It doesn't matter because we got calls and I want to talk to this one. I've been watching this one for a second. Alexander over in the UK, he, him pronouns, has a bit of a question, kind of in deconstruction. That is awesome, Alexander. That is what we are here for. You were chatting it up with Scott Dickie and SR. What's your question for us, man?
Hello, can you hear me all right?
Oh, yeah, coming through.
Yeah, great. I sort of just been deconstructing recently, and I sort of the main reason why I stayed in the Christian faith was because there's so much more people who are intelligent than me, and seemed to have all the knowledge and everything. And I was like, until I started really looking for myself, that's why I sort of gradually have sort of stepped away. But I sort of was wondering, like, why are they still like so keen and so involved still in it, really? Even when the evidence is sort of still so highly stacked against it, really.
Yeah, Scott, what do you think, man? There are a lot of these quantum physicists out there, really high level neurosurgeons and stuff. I mean, these really, really smart people, man.
Mm-hmm.
They believe in God. What's up with that?
You know, what I think it boils down to, at least from my perspective, and I can't remember who said this. I think it might have been Michael Shermer, but he said that believers aren't necessarily not as smart as other people. They can be smart, and smart people can be very good at justifying what they believe, can be very, very good at that rationalization process. And so I think it's a combination of like compartmentalization. Our brains have evolved to separate our beliefs. That's why cognitive dissonance is such a common thing. But I think that, these intellectuals, physicists, what have you, are good at that compartmentalization. They're good at justifying their preconceived beliefs. And, it's hard to argue against the people that just get really good at arguing. Does that make sense? What do you think, Alexander?
Because I say my dad is quite a big intellectual, and I think that's probably one of the main reasons why I stayed in the faith, really. So it's like always, even now, even when I sort of debate it with him, it's quite difficult almost to come up with a good comeback, really. But say, hopefully, being able to listen to stuff like this, hopefully I'll be able to have a bit more of a background knowledge, really. It should be good.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and they say that people that are really good at debating, for example, can be really good at debating regardless of the topic and regardless of which side they actually believe in. And so a person's ability to back up those statements to support their own beliefs is not necessarily a guide to truth. And, I think once we recognize that, then all of those, Isaac Newton was a Christian, all of those types of statements kind of lose a little bit of their gusto, I think.
Yeah. And we're not, Alexander, as much as we talk about it on here, right, and other shows that we do, and as much as we may all personally want to be, none of us are completely consistent, sincerely. As much as we may try, none of us 100% of the time always exactly adhere to the proper methodology or the correct way of doing this or whatever, right, man? And so unfortunately, it's like, even me. Are you kidding me? Like Jmike and I told you it is a little silly, but we told you about an experience like this for us down at the ACA library. For some reason, despite all of the evidence and rationality that we've got, we still kind of had this weird feeling about stepping on people's bricks. I know it doesn't hurt anybody. I know it's not actually connected to them in some real sense or any, and yet there was still kind of that ick, kind of that moment, So yeah, man, and that's what's good about knowing the best you can when it comes to how to reach conclusions. Because what you're going to find out is that just because a smart person believes X doesn't mean that X is true. And just because a smart person is right about Y doesn't mean that Z is true. So.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, no, that's why I find it really fascinating, like, say, listening to all these, say, online debates and everything, and like people who actually don't believe and hearing their sort of stories. So I just find it quite fascinating, because I feel like when you're in Christianity and religion, you sort of only hear that one sort of side of the story, really. And yeah, you feel like, yeah, you're almost a bit trapped almost. But yeah, it's really good to be able to broaden the horizon sort of thing.
Yeah, definitely, man. Definitely. Yeah. Any other thoughts? Did we kind of hit that pretty well? I thought we did.
Yeah,
I
that's
feel
pretty
good.
well. Yeah. No, I mean, the only really other thing, just quite brief. I know I didn't really say much in the screening, but like, I've always, when I was a Christian, I sort of never actually prayed, sort of thing, and I never really got that whole sort of aspect of why I needed to pray, sort of thing. And I just wondered if that's like common for like most people, most Christians, sort of thing, or am I just sort of like, was I sort of always, do you think, of being more of an atheist even from the start?
I don't know. I think there's a lot more, and this is just totally anecdotal. This is totally me pulling out of my ass, man. There probably are some statistics somewhere that can help us with this. But I mean, definitely my experience, I think a lot more of the believers of a lot of different claims, not just about like God and religion and the Quran and stuff, but just I think a lot of us just accept stuff and we don't really investigate it hard. We don't really go through all of the motions and stuff with things, because if we can still get to the same kind of good feeling or generalized, way that we behave in the world with a little bit less effort, I think we just do that. If we can take a shortcut, we will. And I think there's a bunch of people out there who are kind of like, well, I believe that, I believe the thing. And so I don't know that I really need to be tithing or eating the crackers or praying all that much. I think that's probably more common than definitely than the clergy would admit. But Alexander, thank you so much. We appreciate you giving us a call, and really glad you're hanging out with us. And I'm sure it is a crazy hour for you. So go get some rest. Go get some rest, brother. Thank you so much for hanging out with us.
Thanks, Alexander.
Very, very, very helpful. Yeah, thank you very much. Thanks.
Yeah. Well, we appreciate you, brother. And give us a call back in the future if you got any questions or concerns or anythings. I have super chats. I do have super chats. Also, I saw earlier, and this is definitely not me criticizing the crew in any way, shape, or form, because I would never do that because they would beat my ass. But I did see that there were memberships that were gifted. But I don't know who gifted them. But thank you to that wonderful person. And thank you to all the people who do the memberships and stuff. That really helps us out. Yeah, there it is. David Haxer. Yeah, David, you rock, man.
All right.
Thank you so much for that. I appreciate that.
Definitely.
I love seeing all the members in chat. And, that's always a cool thing that you can do, guys, is, give memberships to people like that. It's a cool way to grow the community. And then everybody gets our faces and they can just splatter that live chat with our faces. We've got
Wasn't sure where you were going with that one.
Yeah. I wasn't sure either. I started saying the word and then I was like, wait a second. That's not, that's going to be taken. That's going to be clipped in some weird ways.
Oh, yeah.
Whatever.
Oh, yeah. You walked right into that one.
Yeah. Is there an ACA OnlyFans? It doesn't matter. David Haxer given $5 Canadian, saying 17 emeralds. Thank you very much. I still feel like this is a Minecraft thing, and I feel like I'm just showing how uncool I am, so I feel weird. But
it's so cool to talk about how you're so uncool.
Is it? Right? Is that what the hip kids are doing these days?
I think so. I think that's what just like nerds like me say.
Cool,
it's just
cool,
okay.
Cool. I'll take it. We've got Biker Nurse Ratchet, member for 2 months. Thank you so much. Sending $5 saying, just curious, what's your favorite thing about doing these shows? All three of you are great hosts and teach me something new every time I watch. Thanks. Well, that's awesome. I love that question.
Yeah.
What do you think, Scott? What would you say is your favorite thing about doing these shows?
Easy answer there. Far and away, my favorite thing about doing these shows is having decent conversations with people that have different perspective than I do.
Yeah.
To me, that's by far the most valuable thing here. Obviously the community and the support, that's, but that's a distant second as far as what I actually enjoy the most. It's just being able to talk to people that have different ideas, and it's a way of, first of all, learning about other people and about bettering your own position and your own self. So it's kind of a win-win situation there.
And I think that's really funny, because number one, like having the conversation, number two, the community, and I'd probably flip them. I'd probably say the community is number one for me, having the conversation and learning and teaching. I gotta say, man, and you know this because you teach, man. So there is something so fucking awesome, so energizing about spending a few minutes breaking something down for somebody and then having them go, oh, I got it. And saying it back and you being like, yes, like that. There is something so fulfilling about that.
Definitely.
So everybody become teachers in some form or fashion.
No. Then I'll be out of a job. I need job security here.
Yeah. Don't become teachers. Don't leave the kids uneducated.
They'll be fine. They'll take care of it.
They'll get it. They got their iPhones and their internet. We are going to grab another call coming out of Iowa. We've got D, they, them pronouns, wants to push back a little bit, saying we might have missed the mark a little bit when talking with Olivia earlier. So that is awesome. Hey, D, what do you have for us? You're chatting with SR and Scott Dickie.
Hi, guys. I think that in general you handled Olivia pretty well, but I think I might have picked up on a couple of different things than you did. The main thing that I got out from Olivia was fear.
Sure.
And I think that I may understand why she's never read the Bible. I think when she was younger, she said she was part of a cult. And it sounds like that was very traumatic for her, and that kind of flipped my empathy switch. Because she was in a charismatic congregation. I also was in a charismatic congregation, and it took me decades to claw my way out of the conditioning and that. So what I got from it was that, hey, somebody told me back when I was in this cult about a prophecy and blah, blah, blah. And it obviously stuck with her all these years. And now she's looking at the world around her, and her mind is perceiving that, hey, this prophecy has come true. And oh my God, if that's true, she literally said this, I'm afraid it's all true. So she is in a very, very fearful place right now. And I like that you guided her towards freedom from religion and secular therapy type stuff. I would have liked to have seen, I would have liked to have known, hey, what's this prophecy that you're talking about? Maybe take a couple of points and walk her through it. But at the end, I don't know if it was Jmike or AR that said, hey, you don't have to worry about this anymore.
I think it was me.
That's good. I just would have liked to have seen a little bit stronger acknowledgement of her fear, because I really feel that is what was driving her.
Okay. Yeah, I think that's fair. I'm always open to genuine and sincere criticism from people. And I'm also always open to more empathy and more care about emotions. I think we don't. I think we do a disservice a lot of times on the atheist side, on the non-religious side, the rational, critical thinking side. We want to talk about how emotions are, a poor way to coming to conclusions, and I don't disagree with that. I mean that's correct. It's just I don't think that we should discount the emotions entirely because of that true statement. So yeah, I am always open for somebody saying, you know, hey Elliot, maybe you could be a little bit more compassionate, because I'm a big fan of compassion. Scott, what do you think, man? Any thoughts on that?
Well, SR, I think you are one of the most compassionate people that I've seen on YouTube, and so got to say that first and foremost. But yeah, I think I agree with what you were saying. I think that you know, if she grew up in an environment where fear and strict obedience and purity and that kind of stuff is the name of the game, then that's going to be hard to shake when you get to be an adult. And you know, she definitely. Well, I shouldn't say definitely, but it makes sense to think that she is still driven by fear at this point. Yeah. You know, it's tough to say. You know, we're just a bunch of amateurs here having a little chat on the internet, and so it's tough to really decide for sure. But yeah, it definitely makes sense that there is not only just fear, but a desire to make people happy, to have people you want other people to think well of you, to think nicely of you, you don't, and shaking the boat and disagreeing with things that the group agrees with is one way to put yourself at risk in that regard. And so it can feel safe and comfortable to go along with the group. It can feel safe and comfortable to know that you're at least making efforts to try to back up those things that you used to believe, or maybe still believe, or maybe that your friends believe, or that your parents believe. And so, so there's lots of moving parts going on here. And you know, I like the way that SR and Jmike handled the call. I think that they were showing compassion, but yeah, there's always room for more. And I think that, you know, whether or not they should have stung a little harder on that fear aspect, you know, who knows what the best way to do it was. But I think your criticism and suggestion is well taken, D.
Yeah, we appreciate that, D.
Well, yeah, thank you for that. I just wanted to let you know that I'm not like, oh, you guys handled this all wrong. No, you didn't.
No, you came on here pretty hard, D. Let's be honest. You came on here cussing up a storm, wanting to make a name for yourself, girl. No, but seriously,
she's definitely going to clip that and show it to all her friends, right? Watch me own this SR guy.
Oh, there you go, yeah.
D,
I put him in his place.
Well,
thank you. So
when she said that, it's just when she said that, all of a sudden the entire situation was kind of flipped on its head, and I was looking at it from a different point of view, and I just wanted to share that, not just with you guys, but with listeners too. I know
absolutely.
People say, God, I don't know how to engage, and I think she was really brave for calling.
Sure, absolutely.
And,
everybody who calls, honestly.
You guys did.
Yeah, thank you so much, D. We're gonna let you go, and
you guys very much.
Yeah, thank you so much, and I really appreciate you hanging out with us and being a part of this community and helping us stay honest, you know, and making sure that, you know, what we're doing is actually hitting, you know, what we're going for, because sometimes we get real excited and we want to take the calls and we want to take the arguments and get real hot, and we forget that, you know, we're a community, and we forget that, you know, compassion and empathy are incredibly, incredibly valuable tools that we all as humans have in our belt, and we need to use them.
For sure.
Scott, we got a voicemail. I have wanted to hear this for a little bit. This is a I'm going to spoil it a little. This is going to be probably a really wholesome one. So I would love it if our wonderful crew could get that up for us, and we can listen to this real quick here.
All right, bring it.
Hey guys, I was kind of nervous about calling, and I know this is directed to the ACA, so I'm not sure who's going to get this. I listened to a little bit of Talk Heathen and a little bit of Atheist Experience, a little bit of all you guys. What you guys? I just want to say, I'm so thankful for you guys. You guys are literally the rock in my life that brought me out of toxicity of religion. Thank you guys so much. I want to give a special thanks to Secular Rarity, Jmike, Forrest Valkai, Richard Gilliver. Sorry if I accidentally butchered that name. Dr. Ben, just all you guys. Geez, right now I'm drawing blanks. I'm just literally just spacing stuff right now, just because if this is bad for you, just me calling you guys would be. I'll eventually get the courage to call you guys, but thank you guys so much. No matter what this caller says, you guys, this is ridiculous, whatever. You guys are literally changing the world.
Wow. Thank you so much. That was incredible. And hey, seriously, caller, if you're watching out there and you see this, come hang out with us. Come say hey in the Discord or shout at us on Facebook or give us a call here. Definitely. We love that. Thank you so much, because that's why we do this stuff, y'all. I know, at the beginning we do the little cutesy intros and we welcome each other, and then we just rattle off, this quick little mission statement and stuff. But I want you guys to understand what this really means, okay? The Atheist Community of Austin, a 501c3 nonprofit organization dedicated to the promotion of atheism, critical thinking, secular humanism, and the separation of religion and government. Those things right there, that dedication, that focus, that constant effort, it leads to shit like that. It leads to wonderful, wonderful things like that. And that is amazing. That is why we do this. That is why this has been going on for 26 fucking years. Still ain't got, wait, are we at 27? Did I just shave off a year for us? Okay. Over 20 years is 20 what I'm plus, saying. Right, 20 plus years. That's good. That saves me till we hit 30. So
no, 30 is still 20 plus.
It is 20 plus. You're right. It's just still 20 good. Plus 10. Seriously, y'all. This is what it's all about at the end of the day. That right there, that voicemail is what it's all about. Please don't hesitate to reach out one way or the other, whether it's through TV at atheist-community.org, whether it's hitting us up, tiny.cc, Patreon, AXP, the Discord, which we're going to be in here in just a few minutes. So come hang out with us, y'all. This is what it's all about. And by the way, we do fun stuff for you. We got fun stuff happening, okay? You're like, man, I don't know how to get involved. Where can I engage? Right here in the comment section below this damn video, because this week's prompt is, if you want to get banned from leading Bible study, which Bible story should you pick? And then you hang out with us next week, because your answer might be read at the beginning of the show.
Maybe.
But, Scott, I am thrilled you and I got to work together again, man. I always love hanging out with you. We also were hanging out down in Austin, and it was great.
Yeah.
I told you about this wonderful argument that you presented for a future ACA video. I think you might have to be on the Patreon to get it, though. So you might want to go become a patron member. Anyway.
Just saying.
Yeah. When are you on...
Before we move on, though, I just want to quick point out that voicemail caller, he has said that he was nervous about calling in and was nervous about calling in live. That's if you're in that same boat, if you want to talk to us but you may be nervous about calling in live or something like that, you can call this number even when the show is not on, and you can leave us a voicemail, and maybe we can get to that on a future episode.
Ask us a tough question or give us some thoughts on things. Absolutely.
For sure.
Super, super great. Well, when are you going to be on another show again, man?
Let's see. I was on, we recorded with the nonprofits last week. And so this coming week will be the episodes that I've was most recently on the nonprofits. I'm on there roughly once a month, and I'll be on Talk Heathen on, let's see, when is my next? It's the one right before Halloween, whatever that is. I think that's the 29th. Yeah, the 29th.
Yeah. Okay.
No, not the 29th. Sorry. 27th. That's it.
Yeah. Okay. Sweet.
Talk Heathen.
Definitely make sure y'all are checking out the nonprofits and Talk Heathen and Truth Wanted. You can find wonderful people on all of those places. We've got a couple of other super chats. I want to say them real quick. Jonathan France sent us $1.99 saying cubes. And I'm not sure what you're trying to say, Jonathan, but I kind of...
You will someday. It will become clear what the meaning behind that was.
We've got $100 Canadian from David Haxer, a member for 2 months, saying, "Rip Technoblade, fork cancer." Man, I am confused by both of those. I'm going to be honest. And I kind of feel like at some point, it's just like people just do that on purpose. They're like, I'll say stuff. SR will have no fucking idea. But that's okay because I still read them and I am incredibly, incredibly appreciative. Thank you guys so much. You don't know how much that stuff means to us. Scott and I, Jmike, we're all volunteers here. There's so many people that are working behind the scenes and stuff to keep this going. And every little bit helps, you guys. But seriously,
and every big bit, like David Haxer gave us today. That was amazing donation there.
Yeah, I'm not. Yeah, cut us a check. I ain't shy about it. Give us money. Thank you guys so much, everyone. We really, really appreciate you hanging out with us. Jmike, my brother, I love you, man. Thank you so much. I always love hanging out with you. Scott Dickie, dude, I was glad to get you in because it is always so fun, and y'all need to make sure you see more of Scott. But remember, every Sunday, 4:30 p.m. Central Time, you can come here and you can hang out because we are breaking down these bad arguments and we are building a community of compassionate and empathetic critical thinkers, baby. And yeah, that's what I fucking love. Get out of here. We'll see you next week, folks.
What will it take for you to start opening your eyes, to start questioning the bullshit
10 minutes of outro. That was still probably the shortest outro I've ever done.
It's setting up your business. What goes on between my thighs? I wonder when we'll be rid of your lies.
Watch Talk Heathen live Sundays at 1 p.m. Central. Visit tiny.cc/YTTH and call into the show at 512-991-9242 or connect to the show online at tiny.cc/callth.